Hey, gun people. Man, this is ah. I saw this video and I went, this cop is one of the biggest punks. I've seen quite a few punk cops in my days who are scared and big tough guys when they're handling somebody that's not fighting back. This guy fits right up there with the best of them. This guy's name is John Crowder. Crowder. John Crowder. Let's take a look at this and I'll try to give you my law enforcement on why the officer is doing what he's doing and where he totally stepped out of line and he ought to go to prison, but he's not. But let's take a look at it. So he's driving this way and then a car comes back when the audio starts that an officer is out. The car came back stolen. And a stolen vehicle. So he makes his U-turn. He's heading back to a stolen because an officer's out with a stolen car. I'm assuming the car is occupied. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a big hurry. If we find a stolen car abandoned, we just run it and call a tow truck. But if it's occupied or there's people running in and out of it or something, then you want a lot of cops there because most car thieves run. A lot of times they're armed in a commission of a felony. A car theft is felony, so that's why it's kind of an urgent call and why the cop's driving the way he is.
Coming to the Delphi. Coming up in the area, it's going to be a white male walked up with a vehicle with a white shirt, kind of shade. Yeah, he's going to be around.
I thought he said red shirt and tan pants. You'll know why that's important in a second.
5, 10, maybe like 200 pounds. You have like cargo shorts. Take the 20, turn down that. Counter. Highway 98. X-ray out of tub. White Subaru.
So he's pulling in a lot, and the cop is there with him, and he asks if there's another suspect right here.
What was the other subject description?
Heavy set white male font and black shirt, cargo pants. You're gonna have on a hat. It's a black shape.
Okay, so he says the guy's wearing a hat, and he's about to say he's leaving the car. He's leaving the parking lot in a blue. So this officer thinks he's dealing with the other suspect with the stolen car. So that's why he gets excited. But this is by no means a pursuit, and he didn't have to chase the guy, which is what he says in his statement, which is total BS. This guy lies so much, I can't even believe that this cop could ever take the stand again with this video evidence on how much he lies.
What direction?
He's in the driving the blue car leaving the parking lot.
Alright, I'll turn around.
So this guy thinks he's got a big, woo, I got me a pursuit. I'm going to chase this blue car down, and then I'm going to beat him up because he ran from me. Now, I want you to really pay attention on this guy not running, because when you listen to this guy talk, you swear up and down he was smoking his tires and running from the cops.
We're in the parking lot now.
This has got to be the shortest pursuit and trying to get away video in the history of car pursuits. Hits his brakes immediately when the cop gets behind him.
5 Victor Robert John. It's a blue.
And pulls into the first spot he can pull over. And this cop said he tried to run from him. Are you kidding me? This cop's the biggest freaking liar. I mean, good grief. He needs to be a freaking attorney or a DA as much as this guy lies.
Hyundai.
Now I'm going to point out a few things before it happens here. He starts yelling at this guy and he takes him out at gunpoint. Now, the driver acts like, what for? And I don't know and I'm confused. Well, the driver's not lily clean here, okay? He's got a suspended license. They find a needle in the car when they search it. And he was either talking or involved, and the cop with the stolen car listed him as a suspect leaving the scene of the stolen car. So we don't know if he was in the car or out of the car, if he helped, if maybe he doesn't even know if the car's stolen. If he does know it's stolen, I'm assuming this guy's got some criminal history. but that in no way means the way this cop treated him. This cop is 100%, and I don't say this a lot, there's no wiggle room here. This cop is freaking wrong. He's dead wrong, and he ought to be in jail. Outrageous what he does.
Step out.
Yeah,
Step out now. Put it in park.
Guy's so nervous he didn't put the car in park. He starts to come out. He sticks his hand out the window. He's got his gun down. Again, mindset of the officer. I want you to understand this because later he's going to be talking about how scared he was and how he thought there was a gun and how when he felt these handcuffs on this guy that he thought it was a gun. So his gun isn't pointed now, and then when the guy does get out, he gives a halfway point. He's standing out in the open. He's not hiding by his car. He's walking up what I would call in a very relaxed, nonchalant way to where he is not fearful of this guy at all. And that's going to matter later because who's ever reviewing this tape in court, all that needs to come out when he starts talking about, oh, I was scared. Yeah, okay. You look really scared here, dude.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands right there.
I'm so scared. Before I touch this guy or put my hands on him or do anything, I'm going to put my gun away. The guy gets out of the car like I tell him. He stops. He puts his hands up and he gets on a car immediately. Now remember, later on in this video, you're going to hear this cop tell this story a whole different way.
You got any guns? No. Put your hands on the car.
Guy's confused. The guy was so scared he put his gun away. Remember that. Because his defense is going to be, I was dealing with a known felon. He was involved in a felony car theft, which is a felony crime. I didn't know his history. I was by myself. The guy was uncooperative. He tried to run from me. And being in fear of my life, I had to take necessary steps to overcome his resistance and to take him into custody for a felony charge. That's going to be the testimony on this, even though it's all bullshit, except the fact that he is leaving the scene of a felony and he did have his gun out justified because he's doing a felony car stop. But if he was really concerned and if this was a really felony car stop, he would have held the guy at gunpoint. He would have waited for a second unit. He'd have waited for two people to get there. They would have had the guy get out with his hands, walk to him backwards, prone him out on the ground, and do a felony car stop and a felony arrest on a felony suspect. And he didn't do any of that. He's treating this dude like I just want to be a tough guy and beat the hell out of somebody that ain't fighting back. This guy is a straight up capital P punk.
For what? I'm in a police car. And you're trying to get away from me. You didn't see that police car behind you?
Okay, so again, the cop, this guy's just offended about everything. You didn't see the police car. Dude, you were only behind him for a total of maybe 3 seconds before he pulled over. And then he pulled over and he put his hands out. He got out of the car when you told him, and he's confused. And all you've done is yell, grab, and chew his butt out. Listen to the way how the suspect is confused, because that's going to be key in the civil case and in the criminal case that comes.
Put it in park.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands right there. You got any guns? No. Put your hands on the car. For what? I'm in a police car. And you're trying to get away from me. You didn't see that police car behind you? Oh, fuck, I didn't. If you would listen, none of this would be going on. Okay. No, it's not okay.
If you would listen, none of this would be going on. And the guy's like, okay, okay. The guy's trying to cooperate. He's not fighting. He's not resisting. These cops are already using too much force. But for this point, I'm okay because they don't know what they got and he's a felony. So I'm okay with a little bit. He's still acting like a jerk. But if this guy is a felon and we don't know if he's armed, I wouldn't have took him out like this. So the defense for the cop's going to be, I thought he was armed and car theft is a felony. Well, you're not acting like you're that worried about it, dude. You're worried about chewing him out and being contempt of cop because he asked for what and you had to yell at him because you had a marked police car. You didn't say anything about, I suspect you of a felony, you just left a stolen car, I think you might be armed. You didn't say any of that. You said because I'm in a patrol car and you need to listen. That's what you're upset about, Baldy.
Why you got handcuffs? Why do you have handcuffs? Because I fucking killed you, dude. Fuck.
Dude, this is absolute 100% assault under color of authority. This is torture. This is not pain compliance. This is not overcoming resistance. This is not trying to take a guy into custody for an investigation. He keeps calling this a detention. I'm going to detain you. This is not a detention. You don't use force like this on a detention when a guy's not fighting. This is absolutely outrageous. By the way, they just broke both this guy's arms. He went to the hospital. Both his arms are freaking broken. And this cop is being a flat out jerk. And notice he's got stripes. So he's been around. I think he's 49 years old, 47. And he's either a corporal or sergeant. But he is a complete, straight out punk. Dude!
You gotta stay still, brother. If you don't stay still, I can't pat you down. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Do you have any weapons? Why do you have handcuffs?
I have a knife.
Where?
Why do you have handcuffs? Now, I want to go back and replay this because this is important. When you hear this cop's statement later, he's going to say, when I felt his handcuffs, I thought it was a gun. Absolute flat out lie. When he felt his handcuffs, he asked him. He immediately recognized them as handcuffs because he immediately asked the guy, why do you have handcuffs? He didn't say gun. He didn't react like there was a gun. They didn't throw him on the ground. He didn't warn the other cop. And he didn't ask the guy, what's that bulge on your hip? It feels like it could be a gun. He specifically says, why do you have handcuffs? Which means his mindset was he knew they were handcuffs. He immediately recognized them as handcuffs when he felt them because he asked him what they were. Absolutely outrageous. Listen to how he does that.
Why you got handcuffs? Why do you have handcuffs?
Because I fucking killed you, dude. Fuck.
You gotta stay still, brother. If you don't stay still...
You gotta stay still, brother. Remember, he's government. He's here to help. Now we're brothers. A few minutes ago, we weren't brothers when I had my gun on you. When I told you to get on here. When you didn't answer my questions and I broke your freaking arms, we weren't brothers. But now that you're in pain and you recognize my authority and my power, now we're brothers. Remember, this is how government treats citizens when they have guns and citizens have guns. What do you think's going to change when citizens are no longer allowed to have guns? Outrageous. This guy belongs under the jail.
I can't pat you down. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Do you have any weapons? Why do you have handcuffs?
I have a knife.
Where? Do you have any needles?
Yeah.
You have to be still, okay? If you move again, I have to do what I did before.
You have to be still. You've got his arms locked to the rear and hyperextending both shoulders and elbows. You've already broken his arms, and now you're telling me he needs to stand still, brother. You're my brother. Please stand still. Please, kind citizen. I realize I just broke your arms. Please stand still. I'm here to help. I've got a haircut appointment in a minute to get my head shaved again. Outrageous!
Why do you have handcuffs? Do you have any guns?
No, I don't have any guns.
Why do you have handcuffs?
Oh, God.
Hold on. Watch his arm.
Oh, God.
Here, sir.
Oh, God.
What is this in here? Is that needles?
No.
What is that?
His arms are still super tweaked, hyperextended. They could have him proned out. They've got 3 officers. There's absolutely no fear in none of these officers. None of these officers are worried for their safety. They have numbers. It's daylight. They have other officers there. They know it's during the day. They don't even have this guy committing a crime. They've got an officer at the scene of a stolen vehicle saying, detain this guy. He was by the vehicle. That's all they have right now. Outrageous.
That's the knife you're talking about?
If you got 2 broken arms and they're still hyper extending those breaks and tweaking the bones, dude, that hurts. Somebody's going to say, oh, that guy's being a broken arm. I've had a broken. Look, I'm telling you, this is severe pain when you start tweaking on broken limbs. And this guy has both his arms that are broken, and he got his arms way up above his head for no reason. It's not like they're moving him out of the way to search something. It's not like he's trying to fight him. This guy knows he's outnumbered and he's getting up. He pulled over within 3 seconds. He put his hands up. He got out of the car and complied. Remember, cops and government's always telling us, if you comply, you won't get hurt. Well, Anything government tells you, we already know is a lie.
Hey, stand up for me and face me, okay? Okay. Let's put him in the car. I'm gonna leave your handcuffs up there for now, okay? Hey, I'm gonna leave your handcuffs right there for now, okay?
Oh, see, the guy's being nice. He's letting him know that he's going to leave his handcuffs right here right now. Since when did having handcuffs become a freaking crime anyway? What do you care if he has handcuffs? What, if he has a comb for his hair, you're going to take it personal because you ain't got no hair and ask him why he's got a comb? What, you're the only one that's allowed to have a comb? You're the only one that's allowed to have handcuffs? This cop, man, these are the guys that I would get in their face when I was working. Be, dude, why don't you chill out? Why are you being a freaking jerk? And I would get right in a cop's face and tell him too. People be like, no, you wouldn't. BS if I wouldn't. I mean, look, sometimes cops, and they don't talk back to cops. If one of these cops would have told him, dude, we got this, keep your hands off him. You keep tweaking him, you keep hurting him, you're jacking up the situation. Well, Rick, they can't do that because he's a sergeant and they could lose their job. Well, that's the problem with paramilitary and military organizations. Even when you see something wrong, you're not allowed to correct it. And now everybody's like, well, if they took an oath, Rick, and they should have, and they could have. You know what? They're going to be testifying, and I hope they freaking lie and get caught if they're that type of guy and try to cover his butt. But my guess is, like most cops, they're not going to risk their career for him. They're going to sell him out down the river when it push comes to shove and they get to court.
Fuck! Yeah! Okay, dude.
No, you're not listening, brother. That's why you got put on the car like you did. You have to listen to everything that the police tell you, okay?
That's why you got put on the car, because you didn't listen. Man, this guy will not take the stand in the trial, I guarantee you. Because the defense attorney's going to be able to tear him up. He's going to go word for word. Really? At what point didn't he listen to you, officer? Can you tell me? Well, he didn't pull over fast enough. He didn't get out of the car fast enough. And didn't put his hands on the car fast enough. Really? And in your mind, that justified what you did. This guy will not take the stand in his trial. He's got a misdemeanor charge. He'll take a plea deal anyway.
That officer up there said you was trying to get away from him, and then listen, and then you're trying to get away from me. That's twice. Okay, well, you'll just go to jail for fleeing then, okay? How does that grab you?
Well, then you'll just go to jail for running from a policeman. How does that grab you? Dude, you're pretty tough when a guy's in handcuffs after you broke his arms. Wonder how tough you are when you don't have a gun and a badge on. Freaking little punk. Probably go to school and kick dogs and push little kids around for your spare time.
We'll put him in my car.
Where was it running?
Well, I don't know.
I was just walking.
Okay, well, I'll explain that to you in a little bit, okay? Okay, but you don't listen. That's why you got put on the car like you.
You don't listen. That's why you got put on a car. This is what's called, now I realize that I'm on camera and I probably did something I shouldn't. So I better start articulating my justification for hurting this guy. This guy's starting to realize that as much pain as this guy's in, maybe we broke his arm. See, we just wanted to like beat him with a hose and not leave any marks and then say it didn't happen. But if he's got broken arms, there's going to be x-ray evidence and there's going to be medical reports and there's going to be damage. So I better start verbally articulating why I did what I know I shouldn't have did. That's what you're hearing here out of this officer.
You did. You're going to grab a seat right there in that police car and give him your name and date of birth, the real one, okay?
The real one. Implying that he's lying.
Do what? We have no idea. He was screaming and hollering. The dude was leaving in the car, so.
So now he's saying the other officer was screaming and hollering that the dude was leaving from the car. This guy just makes shit up as he goes. Man, zero credibility. Even if he gets out of this plea deal, there's no way that any prosecutor can take this guy to court where he has to testify. Because any defense attorney worth his salt will be playing this video and this guy's lies. You hear him when they're sitting in the car. It sounds like he's resisting. He's in pain. Both his arms are broken. They'll find that out when they take x-rays, take him to the hospital.
Adam 30, we got one to say.
Adam 30 got one today, Adam 33. Mark Street, your traffic.
Yeah, he's an idiot. He just wouldn't listen, man.
He just wouldn't listen. Well, just because you say it 10 times on camera, don't make it so, Sergeant Bald Boy.
No, he got out. He was fixing to boot it. He was fixing to take off.
Yeah, he was fixing to take off. So now we're preempting. We're back in a matrix of preempting crimes. We know before the crime happens. So this guy knows he was about to take off. A few minutes ago, he ran from him. Now he was about to take off. This guy's so inconsistent with his lies. You think as much as he lies, he'd get better at it.
Run him after I get that. Adam realized the plate check.
They already ran the plate and he came back clear.
Arkansas 555 Victor Robert John 555 VRJ. Whose car is that? Your who?
Oh, he's got the ones over there on the...
Your what? Your what? Your wallet? So,
Lamar, I'll email.
Go ahead.
It's your birthday.
hey man, if you just listen to the police when the police are walking up to you, none of that would happen to you. Okay?
If you would just listen to the police when they walk up to you, none of that would happen. Really? Really, dude? How the hell can he listen any more than he did? Outrage! This guy's such a freaking liar. He doesn't even realize he's lying. His lips are moving.
Look, number one, I told you 3 times to turn around and face that car and put your hands on that.
Really? You told him 3 times? You told him, you screamed once, he had his hands up. You didn't tell him where to put it. You didn't point to it. And then you told him a second time right there, right now, and got all pissed because you were in a police car.
And you didn't do it any time, okay? And then when you did turn around, I start patting you down, you turn around on me, okay?
Really? He turned around on him? Did anybody see him turn around on him? I didn't.
You're not allowed to do that, brother, okay? You have to listen to everything that the police tell you.
I guess if I call you brother, that makes us friends, and then you won't sue me, and then I can testify later that I wasn't mad at the guy. I wasn't using excessive force. I called him brother. I was perfectly calm. The suspect's action caused me to take the aggressive actions I did to overcome his resisted and aggressive actions. Your Honor, I just don't understand why I'm being accused of this crime from this unruly suspect who failed to listen, who had handcuffs, which isn't a crime. But, I don't understand why I'm being questioned about this. I'm the government. I was here to help.
If you'd had a gun or something like that, it went real south for you, okay? Do you understand that? Yes, sir. And it's not normal that somebody's wearing handcuffs. Most people that wear handcuffs are wearing a gun.
A lot of people wearing handcuffs or gun. Well, the people I know that wear handcuffs with a gun are law enforcement or cops, you freaking idiot. No criminals carry handcuffs. I've never caught a criminal with a handcuff. I might catch them with duct tape, zip ties, rope. I've never caught a criminal with handcuffs.
Okay, so why would you be wearing handcuffs?
I tried them on when I was at the house and
He's still hung up on the handcuffs. This guy must have a handcuff fetish. He doesn't think anybody should have them but him. What the hell?
You're carrying him in a cuff case, dude. Why are you walking around?
I just got him.
Okay, so you just feel like wearing handcuffs
Yeah,
everywhere
I
you
just
go.
got him. I just got him.
In a case and all. Yeah. But like I said, when Cordell got on the radio and said he was leaving, I tried to get behind him. He wasn't going to stop till he saw Scott.
He wasn't going to stop. Really? Did anybody see this guy run? That's why I was pointing out. I want you to pay attention on how quick this guy pulled over. This cop is now saying he wasn't going to stop. Again, are we predicting crime on what he was going to do? Or are we saying what he did? Because your lies are getting overlapped and they're not making sense, dude.
Not coming, I think. But he pulls in here. He gets out of the car. And I told him twice to get up against the car and he wouldn't do it.
Oh, so now he told him twice. A few minutes ago, he told him 3 times. Change of story number 102.
And then he finally did. And then he turns around on me while I'm trying to pat him down. We had to slam him up on the back of the car.
He turned around on me and we had to slam him. No, you didn't like his answer and you tweaked his freaking arms and said, now. Unstinking believable.
He says he hurt his arm, so.
He said he hurt his arm. No. He said you guys hurt his arm when you cranked him up above his head. Lie number 104.
Teddy's over there with him. But he says he's hurt his arm because I flung him up on the car, so, and I hadn't went that far yet, so we're running him right now. Hey, he's no warrants, just no deal?
Driver's license suspended.
All right.
So his driver's license suspended, so he shouldn't be driving. Now, a lot of cops or even civilians will think, well, that's King's X, whatever. Cops got him in custody, he didn't have a light. That doesn't matter. What matters is law enforcement follows the rules and they use minimum force necessary to effect arrest or to overcome resistance. That's what matters, people. People come here, oh, you're defending the cops. Oh, you're defending the crooks. Oh, you're inconsistent. Oh, you always flip. One day you're this way, one day. Totality of circumstances and what is known to the cops at the time the cops acted. I had no problem with the cop having his gun out. I got no problems with him ordering him. If he was really fearful that he was making a felony arrest and this subject could be dangerous. But all of his actions said he wasn't worried. He put his gun away and he was just being a big bully punk, hurting a guy that wasn't fighting back because he could, because he had the power, because he had handcuffs and he didn't think anybody else should have them.
Adam, 30 to 32. You go to 3 yet? See if I can get him on 3 and see what he's got. He said the dude tried to walk away from me first, and then he jumps in this car. He's wearing these on his side in a damn case. With a key. I thought it was good.
He's wearing these on the side in a damn case. He's still upset about the handcuffs. And he just said, I don't know if you heard him, but listen again. I thought it was a gun. Listen.
He's wearing these on his side in a damn case. With a key. I thought it was good.
I thought that was a gun. Lie number 106. I'm going to count by twos just because this guy's lying so fast I'm probably missing.
Hey, what's the story? What you got? We got this guy detained up here.
Alright, so the owner of this vehicle in his car said that somebody stole his car and they stole his car and they used it in the hotel. So I get up here, they contact with the people at the hotel. They said that somebody in 207 was in the room. They contact with them two people, got their information. They said that a drug that ticket still rented the room from them.
Does it sound to anybody else that this cop who's talking to the sergeant and explaining what the hell's going on really doesn't know what's going on? And kind of sounds like he's more confused than the guy that just got ripped out of the car and got his arms broken? I'm not saying this guy is innocent of any crime. He's driving without a license. He may have been in a stolen vehicle. He may have taken something out of the stolen vehicle. He may know the people that were in the stolen vehicle. He may have handcuffs on for bad reasons. He's handcuffing, little rabbits in his backyard. I don't know why he's got handcuffs. I don't really care. It's not a crime. So far, all they got this guy for is freaking driving on a suspended license, and they broke his arms. In a minute, they're going to search his car, incident to this arrest, and they're going to find a needle.
But hotel people say it was the mail who came in and used the car. But the car don't got a name on it that they used for something. So make contact with the owner. Get a phone that was going to call those. They're going to add all the information. The representative. We said, well, they stole my car too. They stole my car. I'm trying to run the hotel with the car there. And I see it. And it's two people inside of it. Witnesses up here, they said the guy that you stopped was in the car too. He just walked in, he hopped out right before I turned the corner. I missed him.
Man, I don't know, man. I've never had a
so just detain this guy for now. You may possibly have charges on him after we watch the video.
Did
you copy any of that? He said more than likely the guy called, said someone's using his credit card for a room. Yeah. And they said he also stole his car. And he said that the witnesses told him that it was this cat here that paid for the room and that was getting in and out of the car. But he's going to have to go down and look at the video for all that. So I guess we got enough to detain.
We got a bunch of hearsay, if-and buts, and coconuts, and a guy with 2 broken arms. But Rick, he had a suspended license. Yeah, I know. Yeah, everybody I stopped had a freaking suspended license. It's not the crime of the century.
Him, so him? No, just suspended. Yeah, he like I said, when he got out of the car, he has a pair of handcuffs that he was wearing in a case, and when I first went to pat him down, I thought it was a gun.
Oh, I thought it was a gun twice now. Really, officer? Because as soon as you touched it, you said, why do you have handcuffs? But now he thought it was a gun. Remember I told you before, you're going to hear this guy knowing that this guy's hurt. He's going to need medical. And now he has to really concentrate on verbally articulating why he did what he did. He's trying to repeat a lie enough so people will think it's the truth. He ought to work for the freaking CNN news media, because if you repeat a lie long enough, a lot of idiots will believe it. There's probably some liberal watching this right now. It's like, damn, the cop said he thought it was a gun like 4 times. It must be true. Freaking idiots.
So I flung him up on the car like this because he wouldn't. Well, I asked him times. He said he just tried them on. And I said, he said, I just got them. And I said, no, nobody carries them in a case. I mean, handcuffs in your pocket maybe, but in a case.
Oh, so if they were in his pocket, he wouldn't be so offended. This cop's offended because they were in a case. Are you kidding me? Does this cop run around and look for pink tissue to get offended about? What the hell?
I don't know. He didn't really answer stuff. Well, I know one thing. There's a white Jeep probably got paper tags. Oh, Lord. He probably does. And Cody's out. But...
Did he just say the guy's really dangerous?
I don't know. He didn't really answer stuff. Well, I know one thing. There's a white Jeep probably got paper tags. Oh, Lord. He probably does. And Cody's out. But... yeah, Cody's out and about.
Adam 32.
Yeah. But I just tow the car, right?
Figure 28 driving for him.
Yeah. A righty for driving on suspended.
You notice the sergeant made the stop, and the 2 patrol guys have to search it. They're going to end up towing it. They're going to have to go book the guy. They're going to have to go get him medical cleared. Because the jerk, who didn't do anything but be a jerk, gets to stand around and make everyone else clean up his mess. I hated cops like this.
And tow it and see what Cordell wants to do. I think once he watches the video, he might have a charge on him for theft side if he sees him getting in and out of that stolen car up there. But yeah, he was clowning when he got out of the car. He didn't want us to pat him down when I grabbed them cuffs.
He was fighting when he got out of the car, and he didn't want us to pat him down. Really? Lie number 108 and 110. 110, sorry, I know.
I thought it was a gun. So I flung him up on the trunk lid of the car, and that's when he said, oh, my arm.
I thought it was a gun. That's when I flung him up on the truck. No, you didn't, dude. You had him on a car before then. When you found the handcuffs, he was already laying on the car. When you found the handcuffs and you didn't like his answer, that's when you broke both his arms because you're a dick.
Arm. I thought it was a gun. So I flung him up on the trunk lid of the car. He didn't want us to pat him down when I grabbed them cuffs. I thought it was a gun. So I flung him up on the trunk lid of the car, and that's when he said, oh, my arm.
I thought, see, that sounds a lot better. If this guy was testifying in court, Your Honor, I pulled him out of the car. He was uncooperative, and when I threw him on the car, I thought he had a gun. And because he was uncooperative, he started yelling about, my arm. But, I was just trying to handcuff him. Dude, he was already handcuffed. You were already in a search. You had 2 officers and 1 guy, and you got all offended over handcuffs in a case. And that's when you trashed him. This guy just lies and lies and lies.
You want me to have Mims look at him or no?
Thanks, sir.
So, hey, man, you gave him the right name and date of birth? All right, you have to change your driver's license. It's suspended, correct? You do know that? Okay.
I know now.
Well, we're going to tow your car, and I'm going to write you some tickets, okay? That officer up there is detaining you on the grounds if he wants to see some video down here in this lobby. And then once he gets done watching that video, then you can take that up with him, okay?
Notice, I don't know if y'all noticed that. He just told the guy that I didn't arrest you and you're not under arrest. Did y'all pick that up? Because that's what he said. I'm going to write you a bunch of tickets and tow your car. But the guy up there is going to review some tape, and he wants you detained until he reviews the tapes. So what he basically just said is, I just beat your ass and broke both of your arms when I really had no reason other than another officer said he saw you running from the scene. And because you have a suspended license, I'm going to write you a bunch of tickets, and then I'm going to tow your car. And then I'm going to continue with my lies that you resisted me. This is outrageous. You can find it, this video. Officer John, Jon Crowder, Crowder, battery charges. He was arrested. Here's a little punk officer here. He got hair there. I guess he let his hair grow out because he didn't want to get stigmatized Be an aggressive bald cop when he goes to court. Let's see. Department, I think he was suspended for 30 days. Police reviewed the incident and suspended him for 30 days. Oh, that's a bad. Oh, 30 days without pay. Ooh, he probably had to use up his vacation and sick leave. Rick, that's not fair. They suspended him, and that should be punishment enough. BS. The DA, luckily, they have a good prosecutor there, and they said they determined that Crowder's actions rose to a criminal level. Hell yeah, they did. And they charged him with third-degree battery as a misdemeanor. This is felony assault under the color of authority. No ifs, ands, buts, or coconuts. This guy ought to be having a felony charge, not some damn misdemeanor. And it's not only a felony charge, they got him for misdemeanor battery when you broke two guys' arms. You have serious injury. Those injuries could even be serious bodily injury. And you know what? It's okay. We'll just go misdemeanor. It's not really deadly force, Rick. He just broke both his arms. It's not like he couldn't have kicked him. Could have kicked him with a pinky toe in his eye. The officer was afraid that he would have been blinded if the guy got his pinky toe close to his eye. So that's why that'll be lie number 126 from this officer. Let's see. Dash Graham. It's a pretty recent case, so they haven't gone to court. I'm assuming he's going to take a... one said both arms are broken. This one says fractures of the ulnar bone. The ulnar bone is the bone that I want to do when I do twist locks. That's what I'm putting torque on. Both elbow joints were fractured or broken. I mean, none of these articles are being covered, probably because of the color of the suspect and officers. Nobody cares. This would be headline news if the colors were changed. But, why don't we have medical reports? Why don't we have the officer's report where he lied? Why don't we have more? We're getting very, very. Prosecutor found the officers affected rose to criminal level. Will be seeking charges. They notified the chief. Immediately removed from patrol and placed on modified duty. They still got this guy working when he's facing criminal charges. He should have been terminated when he got those criminal charges. But Ricky's innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, okay. I got a video. You don't need, there's two types of levels of justification or evidence. In a criminal trial, it's beyond a reasonable belief, above a moral certainty. It's a very high level to get a criminal conviction. For civil court, it's just tipping the scales. Preponderance of evidence. If you have 51% of the scales in your way and 49 the other, you win. You only need to tip the scales in civil. In hiring, you even need less than that. I've got a video that shows you absolutely using force on a guy that was handcuffed and breaking his freaking arms. I don't need to wait for the criminal trial to know if I'm going to fire you. So this chief, in my book, because he promoted this guy and he's retaining this guy, he should be liable for negligent retention, negligent training, and negligent hiring. But we know that ain't going to happen. Anyway, that's the story. This guy really, very, very bad. John Crowder, 47. Punk. I need to put a big P right here. Anyway, and I need to look up the charge in Little Rock for possession of handcuffs in a freaking case. If they're in their pocket, it's okay. But if it's in a case, we got problems. Unstinking believable. All right, we'll end that there.